This episode is brought to you by Audi. The road is calling. Embrace the thrill of the drive with the all-new, fully electric Audi Q6 e-tron. Featuring effortless power, serious acceleration, and advanced Audi tech. It's not just a new EV, it's a new way to experience driving. The all-new, fully electric Audi Q6 e-tron is here. The next chapter of Audi starts now.
I was never really a runner. The way I see running is a gift, especially when you have stage 4 cancer. I'm Anne. I'm running the Boston Marathon, presented by Bank of America. I run for Dana-Farber Cancer Institute to give people like me a chance to thrive in life, even with cancer.
Join Bank of America in helping Anne's cause. Give if you can at BofA.com/supportAnne. What would you like the power to do? References to charitable organizations is not an endorsement by Bank of America Corporation. Copyright 2025.
Anybody that's looking to replace a job should find another job, as opposed to building in a business and taking the mindset that I'm going to take on whatever role I need to take on in this business, or hire all the right people that I need to hire to make this business successful. I'm going to do whatever it takes, and I'm going to keep my eyes on and not ever look away from keeping money in the business so I can scale it and grow it to the point that I had intended to when I entered into this business. And then there's some point where our most successful franchisees are, they can call themselves semi-retired. It's more mailbox money for them at this point. Right. And they have teams of people that are running the day-to-day that they manage from afar.
Hello, everyone, and thanks for tuning in to the latest edition of Fran Coach's Franchising 101 podcast. I am Tim Parmeter, founder and CEO of Fran Coach and your podcast host. Today, we are getting back to talking to some franchise partners. This show, we're going to talk about a brand that has been around for 70 years. That's even older than me. Wow. It is in an industry that has changed dramatically over time. But the brand itself has evolved faster than the industry to be able to stay ahead of the curve and continue to be a leader in the category. It is also a brand that has multiple ways to launch and ultimately scale your business. Sounds pretty cool, right? Before we get into that, let's again remind people of who we are. Fran Coach is a national search firm dedicated to working with individuals who are interested in owning a franchise. We're partnered with over 600 of the top brands in the country, spanning over 70 industries. 2 real goals for our team. Number 1, properly educate you on franchise ownership to determine if this is the path for you. And number 2 is to help you find your absolute best franchise to own. So that's a little bit about us. Now let's get to our guest. Today, joining us is the Vice President of Franchise Development for our featured brand, which is called Martinizing Cleaners, Mr. Brent Greenwood. Brent, thanks for joining us today.
Oh, my pleasure, Tim. Excited to be here.
Well, thank you. Yeah, no, thanks for joining. I'm excited to learn a little bit more about Martinizing, and because there are some very cool features of how this business can be run for owners. A lot of great options. Going to hit up all of that, but franchising at its core is a people business. So I always want to first and foremost get to know the people we are fortunate enough to have on the show. But tell us a little bit about like the Brent story and in particular, how did you get into franchising?
Sure. Well, leading up to my entry into franchising, I spent most of my career in sales management and leadership roles, ran call centers, outside salespeople, anything in a sales leadership capacity. I've pretty much done it. I met my future wife, who lived at the time in Jacksonville, Florida. I was living in Tampa, Florida at the time. And the company I was with was based in Tampa. I needed to be there. So the option I had was either quit the job, find something to do in Jacksonville, Florida, or miss out on the girl of my dreams. So what did I do? I pursued the girl of my dreams, quit my job there, and began seeking out an opportunity in Jacksonville, and stumbled on a master franchisee for a large commercial cleaning franchise brand, a national commercial franchise brand. And they brought me on board to run their entire business, which a small portion of that business included offering and working with franchise candidates, onboarding new franchisees And I found that to be the part of that role that I liked the most. And because I was spending so much time doing so many other things that I didn't love, I decided after a year of learning the industry, I said, hey, the franchising industry is so unique. I'm compelled to go find something else in the industry. And I just stumbled at the right time, started looking, and found an opportunity with Firehouse Subs to be the first member of their development team as the director of franchise development, and began working on a whole process and platform for us to build franchise development within Firehouse Subs. So I joined that brand when there were about 300 restaurants, and helped that brand grow to nearly 1,200 locations before the sale of the company to a public company led me to looking for other options. And that led me down the path of finding Martinizing Cleaners, and the rest is history.
That's awesome. And so two things. One, now I'm hungry for Firehouse. I know we're not here to talk about them, but there's that. And then, so our wonderful 7 loyal listeners that tune in every week have heard this from me before, but I live in Arizona half the time. Well, now half the time. My wife, who we met in franchising, lives in Tampa. And so I am Arizona a week because I got an 11-year-old, and then her in Tampa, back and forth. So wonderful area, but you were a little smarter than me. You just followed the girl. I still got the pesky kid that I got to kind of apparently take care of him too. So, but you were at least smart. You stayed somewhere near water and where it's warm. So
right.
That's very, very key.
Reliever. Absolutely.
No, not at all. So tell us a little bit about, Martinizing Cleaners. The beautiful thing of franchising is we're not too smart. So usually the name of the franchise kind of gives us a little bit of idea of what we're doing. So Martinize is going to do some sort of cleaning. What the heck are we cleaning? Kind of talk about, like, from a consumer standpoint, who are those customers and for what? Yeah.
So Martinizing is evolved quite a bit over the history of the company. It's a 75-year-old brand that started strictly as a dry cleaning business, and the industry itself, and Martinizing specifically, has evolved to become much more than that. So over time, the name of the company has changed a few different times over, but was recently changed to Martinizing Cleaning to remove the perception that it was strictly dry cleaning. Our company offers, and we're now more of a one-stop shop for all apparel needs. So any apparel need you have as a consumer, Martinizing should be top of mind. We offer pickup and delivery service, wash, dry, and fold, dry cleaning, household cleaning items like duvet covers and area rugs, alterations, garment preservation, shoe repair, shoe cleaning, leather goods repair, leather cleaning. At the end of the day, if it has to do with apparel, Martinizing can take care of it for you. Back in the old days, and I still speak with people that have fond memories of having gone to their local Martinizing Cleaners, and the perception was that Martinizing did it different than everybody else. So instead of saying they're going to get their dry cleaning done, they would say, "I need to go get my clothes Martinized," and I still hear that all the time. So there's some fond memories of our brand that have still exist today from that 75-year history.
So, and I want to come back to the Martinizing piece of this. So, and because it's interesting you say that. There was years ago, my last job, we were working with somebody that was trying to find a location for an insurance agency, and he kept referencing this office space, and he's like, "Oh, it's next to Martinizing." And I'm like, "What the hell is Martinizing?" Right? And they're like, it's like, I'm like, "Oh, it's a dry cleaner." No, it's Martinizing. Like he was, and like, whatever, I was just kind of done. So is there actually a difference, or was that just great, like branding by the original people to get people to think it was different?
We take a green approach to dry cleaning. So we use the only 100% environmentally safe and friendly solvent used in the dry cleaning industry called Green Earth solvent. That is the differentiator as it relates to how we handle the dry cleaning production, but just the quality of the work that we do gives us the perception of a different method outside of just the green earth component. But it is not proprietary in that regard. It is proprietary, or it's unique to us how we do it, but it is not a proprietary method.
Gotcha. Okay. So, And then I'm guessing the one thing you probably hear often, or somebody might even listen to this going, come on, Brent, dry cleaning, man. Like, I don't wear suits and ties anymore and all of that. But talk a little, I know that's like, I'm sure you hear that a lot, but there's also kind of a myth component to it. Talk a little bit about like, oh, it's dying and what's the reality? For sure.
And, as generations pass and the need and the consumer demand for our services kind of ebbs and flows with each of the different generations that we do business with today. And the perception is that, that, hey, the dry cleaning industry is kind of a dying industry, but it couldn't be further from the truth. So globally, the industry is expected to continue to grow over the next 10 years at a pretty modest clip, maybe about 5% a year over the next 10 years. But our brand is experiencing exponential growth over the last 3 years, anywhere from 15 to 25% year over year growth in our brand. And much of that has to do with our sophisticated approach to the business. This industry is made up of smaller mom and pop owners who don't have a web presence, don't leverage technology, don't have any semblance of a real marketing plan. They've relied primarily on the one revenue stream of dry cleaning, a great location, and people coming by their location to drop off the items that they need clean. For us, we've got a web presence for every single location. We're SEO optimizing those locations. We're launching, full-scale digital marketing campaigns and reputation management to drive business to our locations. We're leveraging smart locker technology, pickup and delivery. We have an app that's integrated with those services. And we're not relying just strictly on great locations. So we're taking a sophisticated approach to an unsophisticated industry. And what that has done is we now appeal to all those different generations, where you've got the baby boomers that like to come in and bring their clothes into our locations, to the millennials who pay premiums for services like wash, dry, and fold. And they don't want to have counter interactions. They want to use your app. They want to order online. And they want to use smart locker technology. So we're appealing to all customer types and changing with those changing consumer demands. So the industry is robust and continuing to grow and bringing new technology into the fold every day. So it's an exciting time in the dry cleaning world.
Well, and again, the innovation piece is what's really driving it, right? So if you were like, it's like, this is how we've always done it, this is how we're always going to do it. Like, that's right. Okay, that might be a struggle. And for those of you who can see the video piece, the sign behind you for Martinizing, I'm gonna guess that's not the brand new sign that just came out, right? That's probably the original location.
It is. It's the very first Martinizing location, absolutely. And you're right about the innovation. We've all seen the brands that failed to innovate. Blockbuster comes to mind on that front. Obviously we've been able to evolve as the consumer needs have changed, and that's kept us relevant.
Yep. Hey everyone, I wanted to take a quick break from our podcast to tell you about our amazing friends at Entrepreneur. If you're looking to become a franchisee or simply learn more about business ownership, and guys, let's be honest, you're listening to the Franchising 101 podcast, so we know you have some interest in this. And I really encourage you to go to entrepreneur.com to check out all of their great content and resources. Seriously, Entrepreneur has everything, all the way from a bookstore to the best podcasts, webinars, and videos, plus information on upcoming events and the latest articles that seriously, they cover all aspects of franchising and business ownership. If you're having trouble deciding which franchise is right for you, start with Entrepreneur's renowned Franchise 500 ranking, which highlights the best franchises of 2022. For 45 years and counting now, Entrepreneur has been and continues to be the most widely recognized and respected authority in the franchising market. Digital and print subscriptions are available, so you never miss out on anything. So seriously, what are you waiting for? Go to entrepreneur.com right now and learn more.
This episode is brought to you by State Farm. From your morning podcast to your afternoon playlist, State Farm knows you personalize your entire day, and that's why State Farm helps you personalize your insurance with the State Farm Personal Price Plan. It offers coverage options that help protect what you care about most at an affordable price just for you. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Prices vary by state. Options selected by customer. Availability and eligibility may vary.
This is a message from sponsor Intuit TurboTax. Taxes was getting frustrated by your forms. Now, Taxes is uploading your forms with a snap, and a TurboTax expert will do your taxes for you. One who's backed by the latest tech, which cross-checks millions of data points for absolute accuracy, all of which makes it easy for you to get the most money back, guaranteed. Get an expert now at TurboTax.com. Only available with TurboTax Live Full Service. See guaranteed details at TurboTax.com/guarantees.
And I think part of that evolution is the business model, right? So we all think of, back in the olden days, we walk in there and there's the location, all of everything's being done in the back, right? So the kind of that big plant component, which obviously there needs to be a plant at some point or somewhere, right? But talk about some of the different options that you guys have for owners, both to start and then to grow and scale their business long term.
That is a great question. That's one of the things coming from 15 years selling restaurant franchises that got me super excited about this industry. And that's one thing. When I started looking for something new, I really wanted to find something that offered a little bit more flexibility with the investment and better ROI opportunity for investors and a better work-life balance. And our ease of scale and the multiple different entry points into our brand is really the exciting piece that got me to decide that, hey, this was the right next place for me. And the scale that we created is a hub and spoke model, with the hub of our business being a plant location. It's the most expensive entry point into our business, about an average of a $600,000 turnkey investment to open that plant. But it is a 2,000 to 3,000 square foot location that includes a small retail front and all the production equipment necessary to handle the fulfillment of the orders. And that hub allows the owner to do three different things: control all their cost associated with the business, control the quality of the work that they're doing for their customers, and then it creates a kind of a trampoline effect to growing and scaling the business from there. So once an owner invests in a plant, they never invest in a second plant. They then begin scaling their business through the addition of spokes, which could also serve as entry points into the business, depending on the investor. Those spokes include satellite locations, routes or pickup and delivery businesses, and smart locker technology, which is more of an additional revenue stream and not an entry point on its own. But satellite locations are just an entry point into the brick and mortar space, pickup and drop off locations with a conveyor and a couple POS systems. They're 700 to 1,000 square feet in comparison, and they cost a fraction of what it costs to open a plant, about $125,000 average investment for that. And you could open as many as 5 satellites that would all be supported by that one plant investment. And for mature dry cleaners, each satellite represents about a 1.5 multiplier profit to the business. So it's a huge impact on the scale and success of a dry cleaning business. And then these models are also complemented by pickup and delivery. Mature dry cleaners usually experience about 50% of their sales with pickup and delivery. So it's an integral and a very important component in addition to the brick and mortar investment. For somebody that's just wanting to dip their toe into the water, not quite ready for one of those bigger investments in the brick and mortar space, it says, hey, I've got a limited amount of capital to invest, but I know this is the right industry for me. They could enter in through that pickup and delivery piece, which would allow them to kind of reverse engineer the scale of their business. So having all that flexibility, multiple different entry points, ease of scaling the business, is something that's really attractive about the opportunity with Martinizing Cleaners. That last piece, the smart locker technology, is just a small investment as low as $400 to purchase a bank of lockers that our franchisees either integrate with their brick and mortar locations or have them placed in places like apartment complexes, high-rise office buildings, taking our brand to where the customers are, allowing them to use our brand outside of the normal business hours and through that app technology. And it's just a great way to grow brand awareness and grow the revenue.
And I think regardless of the generation, post-COVID, like we all want what we want, when we want it, how we want it, right? Yeah. And if it's more convenient for me to, oh man, I couldn't get to the dry cleaner in time to pick everything up.
That's right.
Yeah, well, I can roll in there at midnight and get it or drop it off or whatever, right? So, which
That's
is
right.
again part of that growth and that innovation. You mentioned with those different entry points, right? You can start with the plant, but you don't have to, right? So
That's
if you
correct.
start with the satellite location or kind of the pickup delivery, like then what? So now somebody dropped off their stuff at my location. Now what the heck do I do with it? How does that work?
We align our franchisees who use the satellites and pickup and delivery as their entry point into the business. We align them with a plant that can handle all their production for them. Of course, they pay a portion of their revenue to that plant for that production support. But we are fortunate, our parent company, Clean Brands, owns the Green Earth solvent company that we use. So that Green Earth solvent company licenses our product to over 1,800 licensees across the world. So we tap into that network of affiliates for production support in markets where we may not have a Martinizing plant that's already there.
Gotcha. So you're making sure that it's still the same level of quality and you still have that green component with that. Awesome. Okay.
Absolutely.
Excellent. Okay. Talk a little bit about the owner, right? So I think a couple of simple things is, do you absolutely require somebody to be full-time or not? And then kind of what are, like it's the old thing, like, do we need to have like extensive experience in the, cleaning industry? Just kind of talk about that role of an owner and some things that you really look for.
Sure. No, we don't require full-time involvement in the business. With a caveat, of course, if the owner themselves is not going to be fully engaged in the business, then there's somebody that's taking the lead and running the day-to-day operations of the business. That could be somebody you've hired. It could be a minority business partner. Whatever structure they present to us is just something we have to feel comfortable would represent the brand well and frankly do right by the investor, whoever is putting all the money into the business. We want them to be successful. We have franchisees from all walks of life, most of which do not have dry cleaning experience. And frankly, we prefer it that way. Those with dry cleaning experience have their own idea on how things need to be done versus being open to and willing to adopt the Martinizing way of doing things. And that's what we all know makes franchising so successful, is following the proven system makes you successful. And if you are interested in following that system, then you should start, Joe's Dry Cleaner. Right. Versus, and no offense to Joe in this scenario, that's really the value of a franchise. We're looking for those that have a true entrepreneurial drive. And when I say true entrepreneurial drive, I'm excluding those that think they have that, but are confusing it with a desire to replace a job.
Right.
Anybody that's looking to replace a job should find another job, as opposed to building in a business and taking the mindset that I'm going to take on whatever role I need to take on in this business, or hire all the right people that I need to hire to make this business successful. I'm going to do whatever it takes. And I'm going to keep my eyes on and not ever look away from keeping money in the business so I can scale it and grow it to the point that I had intended to when I entered into this business. And then there's some point where our most successful franchisees are, they can call themselves semi-retired. It's more mailbox money for them at this point. Right. And they have teams of people that are running the day-to-day that they manage from afar. Our most successful owner is living in Dallas, Texas, and has locations in Northern California that he visits once a year. So that didn't come easy, though. He built that business and was able to enjoy the fruits of his labor. So I wouldn't say we're looking for any one thing. Any person could be right for Martinizing with the right mindset approach to making the business successful.
Yeah. And again, I love you point out with every franchise, number one thing, every franchise is going to say, follow the dang plan, right? Like if you, and you got to be honest with yourself, and it's okay if you don't want to, then go create your own thing or go get another job. But you got to follow the plan. Right. And so I'm guessing there's a certain level of, whether it's the owner, because the owner is probably not standing behind the counter all day, every day, with this, but a certain level of customer service, right? This is, again, really, you're talking about having very loyal customers to this because, again, like you're doing a good job, like don't mess up my clothes or my stuff, right? But, just being friendly and greeting. And then I would think also a certain element of kind of getting out in the community and connecting and really kind of helping the awareness, driving people there, creating some partnerships as well, correct?
Yes. Our franchisee and this model or the industry itself relies on recurring revenue. We become extensions of our customers' family. We know them by first name. We know their spouses. We know their pets. We know the vacations they just went on. It's extremely rewarding for our franchisees from that standpoint versus other transactional businesses. So it is very important to become a fixture in that community, become the known person behind the counter. And that could be, a general manager that's running the location, or it could be the actual owner that's dedicating that time and attention to building those relationships. We talked early in our conversation about the perception that Martinizing does it different. That perception stems from a great customer service experience. You've been to enough dry cleaners to know that it's hard to find great customer service out there, especially in this industry. So we teach, train, and mentor our franchisees how to do it the right way. And that creates a very unique experience for the consumer and makes it very easy for us to gain more and more market share.
Talk a little bit about some of the support mechanisms from Martinizing the franchisor to those franchise owners who, again, in most cases, really don't have any experience in this industry. Especially if we're going to start with a plant, there's stuff that we need, big stuff to be able to clean it. How do we do it? How do we do it properly? Kind of share some of the things that are going on to help those owners kind of get started and be successful.
And when I have candidates ask me that question, Tim, I always say it's easier to tell you what we don't support you on than try to tell you everything that we do support you on. But as it relates to learning the business, that's obviously an important piece. And, we have one person on our team that's just dedicated to providing a great onboarding experience for our new franchisees. And as soon as somebody signs a franchise agreement, we start weekly onboarding calls with that individual and include all the primary teams that are going to assist them in launching their business successfully, to include operations, our chief operating officer, or leader of our technology team, and as well as our marketing teams are also included in those calls. And that's part of the onboarding experience that eventually leads to finding the right location, getting a lease on that property, but also the training component, which we put our franchisees through a couple weeks of training, some of that being virtual, or a couple of days being virtual, and the remaining 2 weeks is all within location, to include some time spent in the location they'll be opening, helping train up their team and get them ready for opening day. So that's all leading into the preparation of opening. And what we're really not getting into too much detail on during that training is the minutia of actually dry cleaning clothes. We have very successful owners in our system, to include our own CEO, who would tell you, and they've all owned, multi-unit dry cleaning businesses, and they'll tell you that they don't even know how to run the dry cleaning machine. They've never got into the minutia of the business. They got into overseeing and managing their business and being a true business owner, and managing through the right people that they've hired to run those pieces of equipment for their plant. So managing the efficiency of the team rather than in there actually pressing and dry cleaning clothes.
Gotcha. Okay. Good. Which is a good, again, I think it's a myth sometimes that happens, is like, oh, I'm going to be, like if I'm doing this, I'm back there, like, I don't know, ironing or whatever the stuff is. I mean, I'm sure your CEO is probably minimizing it a little bit, but like you're going to learn how to do it. It's just not remotely what you should be back there doing all day long, right? But
that's right.
But again, it's just, it goes back to that whole thing of why you do a franchise is like you said, it's easier to tell you what we don't help you with, or we'll have people say, hey, well, the franchise helped me with, like, I don't care what you say after that. The answer is yes. And it's probably a long answer after that, right? So again, follow the dang plan, right?
Well, and there's some that deliver on those words and others that don't do it as well. And that's all part of the due diligence process that leads to you reaching a comfort level with the support you will receive. We're confident in our team and our ability to support franchisees.
Yeah, I think that's a good kind of a little bit hidden point sometimes. One of the biggest reasons why people start a franchise is that connection with the brand and the people. You feel like you're in the right room. Like, hey, these people, they know what the heck they're doing. I feel like that they're going to support me and they're here for me in the ways that I need it. Right. So, awesome. So Brent, the one other thing I want to kind of ask that I want to be respectful of your time is just, this is kind of broad. So, but is there anything else like really in particular about Martinizing? I mean, we talked about all the different revenue streams for the customers, the different ways to launch the business. We don't need to be, we can be full-time or semi-absentee, and we're not like cleaning stuff all day, every day. What are we missing? Maybe you would really like us to know about Martinizing.
Well, hey, coming from other industries, I know what the cost of goods strain has been like on many industries. And it came from an industry in the restaurant business where 25 to 30% cost of goods was pretty normal. Our industry and our performance through the end of last year was right around 7% cost of goods, with some of our plants getting that number down to 5% cost of goods. And to me, that screamed what a great ROI opportunity for investors. And that does translate to real money at the bottom line for our franchisees. So it's a great business that offers an incredible work-life balance. Even those that decide, hey, I'm going to be more of an owner-operator type, and I'm going to take on a manager role within my plant location, they'll typically spend their time in their plant during the production hours, which are early morning hours, wrapping up around 11 or 12 o'clock every day. And then they're taking the balance of the day to do whatever they want to, and leaving the business in the hands of the one customer service person that's running their front lobby. So it does offer a unique quality of life and work-life balance for those that choose that more owner-operator approach. And you can't beat that cost of goods sold piece that really attracts many to this industry. Yeah,
absolutely. Right. And when you talk about the work life and then trying to switch that into life work, these type of hours certainly allow you to do that for sure. So,
yes.
Awesome. Brent, thank you so much for coming on today. It's been great to meet you finally, and certainly learn a ton more about Martinizing. We appreciate it.
I appreciate you having me on your show, Tim. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much. And thanks as always to our loyal podcast listeners for tuning in. We hope the Franchising 101 podcast continues to provide insight into the amazing possibilities that can be achieved as a franchise owner. You can find us online, as always, francoach.net, franchising101podcast.net. When you're ready to learn more and see if this is the path for you and which franchise might be your best match, perhaps it's Martinizing, reach out to our team. There's never any fee for our service. francoach.net, franchising101podcast.net. Also, don't forget, last Friday, did you catch the initial episode of the Franchising 360 show on Biz TV? Starring, I don't know if starring's the right word, but me and my significantly better half, Danielle. Episode 2, these are every Friday night, at least until they cancel our ass. So hurry, that may happen fast. Biz TV every Friday night, 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. Download the app for Biz TV, biztv.com. It's on a bunch of local channels too, but you're probably not going to find those, so use the app. Anyway, all things franchising, not just becoming a franchise owner. So lots of tons of cool stuff there. Check it out. As always, we'll be rolling every single Thursday with a new podcast episode. Getting to talk to some franchise owners here on the next one. So again, super excited for that. Thanks as always for reaching out. Contact our team and let us help you create your better tomorrow. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next week.